Welcome to another video from Lockdown Electronics with me, Bill, and today we've got a first look at the latest project, which is this Pi Model 19D receiver. I've actually got two of these. This one looked like it had the hardest life, so this is the first one I'm going to make a bit of a start on and see what she's like. But 19D was produced in circa 1948-49, and it's interesting that it's got long wave, medium wave. It's got what it calls a medium short wave, and then it's got no less than 5 shortwave bands: 31, 25, 19, 16 and 13 meters. So hopefully it's going to have a reasonable performance with that amount of band spread on the shortwave broadcast bands. So that's the front. Had a bit of a hard life. These knobs have come across some heat at some point or something, which has caused them to distort a little bit, and there's, you know, none of the knobs are actually the same, so clearly it's had a hard life. But let's have a look inside the back and see what we're up against. Okay, well, here we are looking inside the back of the first of the Pi 19Ds, and as you can see, 1940s style valves, lots of grime. The valves are looking especially shiny because actually I've had a quick look at the valves and cleaned them up a little bit. There's also a rectifier valve, which I've actually removed. It's an AZ31, which also fits just behind the mains transformer there. So next job is to get it out of its box and see what she looks like. But from here I can see that the speaker looks in reasonably good condition and doesn't look to be any obvious modifications along the top. But we'll have a look at the chassis a bit more closely when we've extracted it from the case. Okay, well, here's the Pi 19D chassis. Now it's finally out of its case. Getting the knobs off was a bit of a challenge, but as expected, lots of grime, but doesn't look too bad. This rectifier valve, which I removed while it was still in the case, doesn't have the index plastic indexing pin and the sensor is broken off, and I can see that the notch was there, so I've had to actually reposition that valve like that, so I know it's actually in the right position. But we've got some quite elaborate system for changing waveband. I don't know if that's going to work too well without tightening the screw, but we've got the usual tuning the two gangs of the capacitor, and that bar slides up and down, so that looks still working alright actually, but very, very grubby indeed, as you can see. And if I can just get this knob to actually yeah, that's the one that's reasonably easy to tighten, so I'll just pop that one on. You can then see the on-off and the wave change. It's worth seeing because it's a bit of a mechanical work of art. So what you've got here is you've got this device that moves along, so that will be off, and then as you step up through the bands, this moves along a window at the top and shows you which band you've selected. So yeah, it's hard to quite, so I'm just going to take out that EL33 and just see if I can see a date on the capacitor here. No, we've got 50 plus 50 microfarads on this electrolytic, and it says black is common. I can't see a date, but I can't see all the writing, so I was just wondering if that was original. Okay, I've not looked underneath yet, so you're going to get the same level of surprise as I am, so we'll just turn her over and have a quick look. Just do it like that for now, just to see what we're facing underneath. And okay, well, there we go. At first glance, I have to say that looks not sure about that electrolytic, whether that's modern or not. It doesn't look I mean, it's not that modern. I would say they're original. Certainly those waxes are original. That's an original waxy. I guess that is too. The resistors look original. So yeah, two electrolytics down there. Again, not sure about how old they are, but it does look to be in fairly original condition, so and not too bad. I've no doubt this is the elaborate arrangement here for the shortwave bands for the oscillators and the front end tuning, and as you can see there are 8 holes there and 8 holes at the front to allow you to get your trimmer tool in to tune the various bands. So I'm sure that'll be entertaining for me if I can get it working. So there we go. Let's first look at the chassis. A long way to go. Okay, well, I'm back looking at the Pi 19D, and you might recall from a previous look at the chassis that all the valves were lighting except for V5, which is the rectifier. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 were all lighting. V5 I couldn't detect a heater, so I took the valve out and checked the 2 pins. In the case of that valve, it's pins 2 and 8, and sure enough that rectifier was open circuit. So I've scoured my my box of valves and found this AZ31, and although the bottom locking socket is missing, actually the heater on that valve does test out okay. It's still got reasonably coloured getter, so I've just put a mark on here to remind me where the index pin goes when I put it into the radio. So I'm going to try that, see if that works. But there is an explanation for why valves 1 to 4 were lighting. They're all fed off that winding there and go to A, which is the heaters on all those valves. Because this is a directly heated rectifier with no separate cathode, it's got its own winding for the heating there, so it's quite possible for that heater to be open circuit and it wouldn't make any difference to the others, which was what initially confused me. So another good learning point there for me. If I have no luck with this replacement AZ31, it wouldn't be terribly difficult to simply replace that with just a pair of diodes to give me the full wave rectification required. 1N4007s would do that okay, and I've got some of those. But we'll try the AZ31 first and see what happens, and see if we can make any progress. Okay, well, here's the Pi 19D. I've got a speaker attached, and rather optimistically I've attached a bit of wire to the aerial socket as well. I don't know whether that's probably a bit optimistic, but you never know. So there's the here is the AZ31 that I've replaced. I've made sure it's in the correct orientation, which it is, and certainly before these 4 valves did actually light up okay. So I've got it on the variac, I've got it on the current limiting, so I'm going to wind the variac up now and just put on about 50 volts so I can see the display, and I can't remember how this switches on, so I'm just going to try a few things. Thought I saw a slight increase of power then, but maybe not. No, I don't know. I'm going to just come up a little bit higher on the voltage, go up to about 80 volts, and see if I can see anything happening. That's about 100 volts, and I can't see the bulbs glowing. Just going to try a different switch, see if that makes any difference. Nothing at that click. It says it's drawing no current at all, so I clearly haven't found the on-off switch yet, but expect some current draw. Right, so yeah, there's a little bit of power now, and the dial lights are lighting up. Okay, probably isn't enough to see the valves in emission yet, but I don't know whether you can see that on the camera, but the dial lights are lighting up. Right, I'm going to bring up the voltage, keeping my eye on the current limiter. It's drawing about, right, I'm up at about 150 volts now, and it's drawing about 100 milliamps at the moment, so just about 15 watts. Probably not enough voltage to get it actually working yet. Okay, we're up at about 160 volts now, and I'm looking for glows in the valves. It's quite difficult to see with the light on, but I think I've got a... No, I haven't. That's just a trick of the eye. Let's go up a little higher. Got it at about 160 volts now. No particular sound out speaker. Just going to turn the volume up. Aha! Sometimes the problem is not what you think it is. Okay. Well, clearly the amplifier works, and if the amplifier works, that must mean that the AZ31 is working to produce high voltage, although I really can't see the heaters go. Ah, actually no, I can. Good, so that AZ31 is good, so that's some progress, and clearly the AF stage works. I'm going to just up the voltage a little bit more, just up at about 160 volts now, which is the most the Variac will do with the current limiting in progress. So clearly something's okay there. If I can reach around and get my hands on the tuning controller, I've just got no idea what band I'm on. Absolutely nothing there. Let's try changing waveband. Let's go to a middle one. Just work my way back through. Again, nothing there. Aha! She's working. Again, well, optimism paid off with that bit of wire for the aerial. I'm going to try the next waveband along. Okay, we've clearly got the main bits of the circuit working. If we've got reception of those heterodynes going on, it'd be really nice to try and find a station. I'm going to try the very high-tech approach here of attaching the end of that bit of wire to the centre of my HF. Certainly increases the noise level. So okay, well that's a good start. Obviously I've not changed any capacitors, so I think that's going to be the next job. But that's great. That obviously means all the other valves are okay as well. So pleased with that progress. Okay, well, as expected, the Pi 19D here behind me is not going to be a quick project, so I'm going to conclude the first part of this video here, and in part 2 we'll start to look at replacing some of the components and see if that improves performance. and hopefully make a bit more progress. So thanks very much for watching, and if you've liked the video, please click that thumbs up, that'd be great. If not, you can click the thumbs down. Either way, it'd be great if you could subscribe, and any comments, please feel free to leave them below, and hopefully we'll see some more interesting progress on this 71-year-old receiver at some point. Thanks very much for watching. See you on the next one.